What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Aaron B, and welcome back to the third annual Super Bowl Trivia Show. And I got my guys, host of Red Dot Radio, Sean Bogle Jr., and then I got my guy Jeff Hunt from Jeff Needs Sports. How y'all doing tonight, fellas?
Good, man.
Good.
It's Super Week. Thanks for doing this again. And again, I'll say this year, we another 365 days went by and we didn't do anything else. I don't understand it.
This is the annual meetup.
Yeah,
I'm glad to be here, but we definitely need to get something
Yeah.
before next Super Bowl.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, apparently I'm a mercenary now, so we gotta get something going.
For sure, we definitely got to get some another show besides just the once a year, because it's
Let's
just
just do
great.
NBA trivia. Let's just commit to like some NBA trivia,
Yeah, I could do that.
if nothing else.
You guys will slaughter me in that, but I signed up for it. I'm down.
I'm good from the 70th until kind of present now at the NBA trivia. So Jeff might get me on that one. But speaking of NBA, let's get into this Luka trade and stuff. I want to get y'all's opinion on what do y'all think about this trade? For me,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like as long as I've been watching basketball for 40 years or whatever, it's one of the wildest things I've seen. Like that we actually had a not just a superstar. The difference in this trade is Luka's not just what we call a superstar, because I don't even I have questions about like how far Luka can make it based on some of his he's an odd player. But what we do know is he is a guy that you can pin a franchise to, and those guys just don't get traded. Like a guy that like you can hang in, you're going to hang him in the rafters. He's probably going to steal you at least one championship if he stays there 15 years. He's going to sell the jerseys. He's going to bring people to the stand, crowd. Here's the difference. Luka brings people to away games, and those guys just don't get traded. I don't care how good they are. So this was an absolute stunner to me. And I guess my overall thought is, it's always like, perfect guy for the Lakers. Here's the thing about the Lakers. They're already like a certain popularity. You can only become so much more popular as a Laker. So like, I don't think it's as big a deal for the Lakers as people think it is. Basketball wise, it's pretty good, but it's still just a stunner based on like those guys just don't get traded.
Yeah, it was super shocking. I couldn't believe it. Never, like you said, have we seen a star this age get traded away. The first thing that came to my mind was all the Dallas Mavericks fans. They were crying. They were like, you would have thought he died. Like it was genuinely sad just to hear all the fans and what they're now subjected to. I think the biggest thing for me moving forward, I think this is all on the Mavericks. I think they got to figure out a way to get it done. Like you made this move with the intentions of you got to win now. You got to win in this window. They got to get it done. And it's going to be interesting to watch. It's definitely going to make the NBA much more interesting to watch throughout the rest of the year. But it'll be hilarious when neither of these two teams, the Lakers or the Mavericks, end up getting to the Western Conference Finals. So it's like all this craziness. I think this may be like more impact down the road. Like we may see the results of this 2-3 years down if the Lakers are able to make it, or if Dallas just falls apart.
Yeah, we're not seeing this trade. I got on Twitter and I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's some fake sham page or something like that. And I did like a deep dive, making sure this could not happen. A 25-year-old superstar gets traded to the Lakers for almost a guy that's almost out of the league because of all the injuries he had. And then to top it off, you added extra pieces to trade to the Lakers. That's the bad part to me is like you didn't just trade Luka. You're like, oh no, y'all take a Maxi Keebler in there as well. I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense to me.
And there was no consideration for like it has nothing to do with LeBron James. Like this doesn't make James better. Like it has nothing to do. It basically just makes him like another player. It's so weird. And I think Sean said it. We won't know for a few years the why or how this happened, because obviously something went down, because they could have fleeced a terrible franchise. Like they could have fleeced like a team like Detroit or one of these teams has all these draft picks and all these young guys. They could have took the whole team back to get rid of him. So there's more behind the scenes than again, we may not know until the 30 for 30 comes out in 20 years.
Yeah.
There's always questions like, is Luka out of shape? Is Luka this and is Luka that? And then the whole forgotten part about this is Anthony Davis. Like, we don't even know, like, as far as like, this is a guy that we consider as, a top player in the NBA, but we have no idea what he's going to do in this environment. Like, I would have never in a million years told somebody, hey, I'm going to build a team. I'm going to throw Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis together and see what happens. Like, to me, it sounds like a total failure because you got two players that, I don't know. Neither one of them have ever really carried a team, so to speak. Neither one of them. They're just. I don't know. There's so many question marks. Maybe Anthony Davis will finally get to play shooting guard that he's always wanted to play. In all these years in the NBA, it's weird. This is so weird. None of it makes sense. I don't think either team got better right away. I think I don't get it. And I say it again, the Lakers are a brand. Like, Luka doesn't make them more popular down the road. That doesn't make them better. Like, it just does not make sense. And then they're going to have to sign him the Supermax. They basically said, like, if we're going to trade for you, we're giving you the Supermax. And then there's the questions of, like, is Luka that dude? Probably. I mean,
Yeah.
carry a team to the finals, but we've also seen him, be a complete black hole in the finals on defense too.
Yeah.
It's just one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in sports. But hey, I'm here for it. I'm not a fan of either one of the teams, so it gives me something to talk about for a few minutes with you guys.
The closest thing I can compare this to, I think about like when James Harden left the Rockets.
Yeah.
I think the situations are different because James Harden wasn't drafted by the Rockets. He was drafted by OKC, went to a finals with OKC, but he was never the guy. He became the guy in Houston. I feel like if Harden was drafted in Houston, this was exactly what would have happened. I think the Mavericks realized that Luka was about 2 to 3 years away from demanding a trade out if they didn't get it, on top of costing them the $340 million you just brought up. So I think they were thinking, okay, if we can't get to a finals this year, which with Luka being out, it didn't look all that likely. They're like, let's just trade him away and reset, like the Rockets did before it gets ugly. And hopefully it works out for him because you just don't see it very often. So they're betting on a lot to go wrong for Luka.
It's definitely, and this also tells you something about sports. Like, obviously, and I'd say this all the time, it's really not about the butts in the seats or the jerseys. It's about the TV. Mavericks would not do this if everything in the NBA was dependent on like how many fans were at a game and things like that. But none of it really makes sense because Dallas has been a great franchise for over 20 years now, and people still are like, they're just kind of on the edge of the radar. And so now you got rid of the most interesting part of your team, since Nowitzki. Davis just doesn't bring those eyeballs or that attention. So if that matters, this is a complete failure. But again, like Sean said, like, there's something way more to it. There's something more financial and there's something more long-term. But here's the thing. I don't think this GM going to be around to see the results. I really don't.
No. And the bad thing is, did y'all see the interview with you on the side of Jason Kidd's on the other side, and he's saying all this stuff? It looks like Jason Kidd wants to pick him up by his neck until he turns blue. That's how pissed he was.
Well, think of how much work he put into Luka, and now he's just gone. Like, because that kid's not easy to deal with as far as like to become an NBA player. Like, it takes a lot of work to craft these young guys into it. It'll be no different than, like, I don't know, in 2 years from now, Webby is at the top of his skills and they just trade him for a 31-year-old, also it would make no sense. Like, you've put in the work and you've got to a finals, and I don't know. It's it's a mystery. This whole thing's a mystery.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I hope Brian Wright never does that to the Spurs, because I didn't say so many great things about him right now since we got.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, like he's been doing a great job. Don't mess it up.
I think the Spurs kind of killed it, man. Fox is one of my guys. I love that guy, and Wemby is obviously everything that we thought he was going to be to this point. So that's another side of the trade deadline, and we're like, oh no, that team got real good, real quick. Like they're legit right now.
Yeah, I wasn't into NBA until that trade happened. I was like, okay, let's get into this NBA mode right now. And then they added some role players too with a Jordan McLaughlin, who actually kind of reminded me of Derek White a little bit, just on the shorter side. And then we got Patrick Baldwin for almost free, who we needed a big that could stretch out for the 3 points. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's really their only flaw right now is like consistent 3-point shooting that you need in the playoffs. But they got defense. I think Fox is a better player. Just as soon as the trade was over, I think Fox is a better player because I think that everything, is going to add to his skill set and let him flourish. So I thought that was actually the winner of the week.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought it was just going to be rumors and everything. I was like, the Spurs ain't gonna do that. And then you wake up on Sunday and you read, like, we just did that.
Yeah, and Fox is one of those dudes that when he's got that next gear, and that's the thing that you need. Like his ceiling is super high.
Yeah,
I like him a lot.
Yeah, and
definitely. He's still developing too. Like I feel like there's so much more room for him to grow over the next 2 to 3 years. Like we don't even know how good he can be yet.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, that's the best part of it. He's still a younger guy. Yes, we got CP3, but we know he's kind of been that veteran presence that this team needed for the longest. So it was just for this year, and then we were going to look at point guard, and you found one in De'Aaron Fox, and then you got Castle as well. So you got to mixture of veteran and youth now on this team, not just a bunch of young guys that are learning all together.
Right.
Yeah, but you gonna say something?
I was gonna say I feel like the Spurs and the Lakers desperately needed to make these moves because seeing what the Golden State Warriors did, and I don't even think the Golden State was one of the best 2 teams in the West. So I feel like right now it's like an arms race, like to see who could have the best roster going into the playoffs right now. It's crazy.
I also think what happened, I don't think Minnesota is quite as good as we thought they were going to be in the West. So if you're in the West, like you're the, like Sean said, you're the Spurs and you're like, man, Wemby's coming along a little faster than we thought. We can steal something here. Like there's no reason to forfeit on this season. So there's not the West is really good, but it's also not super top heavy. Like anybody can be taken down in these playoffs. So the Suns are not near what we thought they were going to be for the last couple of years. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. And then, you don't want to turn your back like Houston's coming and all these other teams. Like, you can definitely win now in the West. And I don't think we thought that coming into the year. So it's probably the last month of the season in the playoffs is going to be wild in the West as to where I think Boston and Cleveland are going to run away with the East.
Yeah.
It's
good to see there's a fight back in the West because it's kind of been more East centric. Now you see the West now stepping up with adding like these trades in a matter of a couple of days. You're like, okay, the West. Like you said, it's fully loaded. It's not just top 3 team. Now you're looking at more than almost 10. That's great to see. But we're gonna get into this the trivia show tonight, the 3rd annual trivia show. So I got 10 questions. It was hard to find a lot of these questions and stuff, but I'm excited because I'm gonna keep note of it now, just in case I won't do any repeats next year. Because we're gonna keep it going. There's a whole bunch of questions out there. I'm just gonna go deeper dive on it.
I got news for you, AB. I didn't memorize last year's questions, so even if you repeat, like we're good.
I think the Patriots might have been an answer, but I think that's like a Super Bowl answer for every trivia.
Yeah, Joe Montana is an answer to one of these questions. That's my prediction.
The fun thing is y'all are not over exaggerating or lying on those things. Like there's probably going to be a couple of questions that are from the same team. I'm going to give y'all that hint. But so all questions are 2 points, and then I have a bonus question. I think this is a pretty good one. So it actually is 4 points, but if you get one of it, the first part of it right, it's 2 points. But if you get it all 4, you get the 4 points. So there's a good chance you
even wore the game show like sport coat and everything, man.
I'm gonna say AB came official today.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. But Yeah, I had to get into my game show vibe and stuff. I don't have the
Super Bowl
suave
ready.
hair. I'm sorry, y'all, but I couldn't put a wig on because I'd be really sweating in this.
Yo, I would have lost it.
I'm never mind. I ain't gonna do that. Y'all couldn't even take me serious. I put on some Alex Trebek type of hairstyle. Or
I'm about to
something.
say, you come up with a wig, I'll be dying.
I'm just glad AB had me on after the Texas game. I'm glad we're still friends. I
yeah.
was nervous.
Oh no, hey, y'all came to play, and I can't even get mad at it. I'm like, I'm just glad they even got to there because it's been a while since we've been there. But next year's different.
Hey, 6 months from now, man, we'll be having a different conversation.
Yeah,
it's crazy. They went from almost firing the coach to winning the whole thing.
That's how we do it in Ohio. It makes no sense.
That sounds stressful. I'm already part of a team that probably the reason why I lost my hair, but that's neither here nor there. But okay, the first question: what year was the first Super Bowl?
Oh, okay, hold it real quick. The month it was played in, or the season?
The year.
So it was played in January.
Yeah,
January 6th. It's played in January 67.
Yep.
67. I was gonna go with 69, but that would have been too easy.
Next question. Which Super Bowl has the first overtime? Had the first overtime?
I'm gonna take a guess. Super Bowl 10.
No, it's actually pretty recent.
Okay.
Man, I don't know the numbers of the Super Bowl, but it was, I believe it was last year, Chiefs 49ers.
No, it's not that.
Was it Eagles? Were the Eagles in it?
No, it wasn't the Eagles.
Oh. Wait, overtime?
Overtime. The first overtime. It's y'all's last guess.
I bet it has the Patriots. I'm gonna say the Patriots
Who they play?
when they came back against Atlanta.
Yep.
Yep.
You got it. Good job. That totally washed over me. I knew that.
So it's 2-2. Next question. We're gonna get into a little food question. What is the best-selling Super Bowl snack?
I'm gonna say chicken wings. Is that a snack?
You got it.
I would have thought it was Doritos. I guess Doritos gets no love.
I was surprised because
not this year, man. There ain't no chickens this year.
Yeah.
They've been literally telling people to go out and get chicken breasts this year. They're like, just go get chicken breasts and cut it up. Like, we're out of chicken wings. I swear.
I thought there were more chickens on the earth than humans, but now we're running out of chickens apparently.
Yeah, they're all sick, man.
Yeah, apparently. So the next question is, what was the first Super Bowl to be played in the indoor stadium?
Indoor stadium. I'm gonna guess Super Bowl 10.
Oh, and what's the stadium?
Damn. Cowboy Stadium?
No.
So I think the stadium is the Superdome, and I think the teams.
You got it.
I didn't get which one. Was it? Who was it? Was it Dallas and Denver?
Yeah, it was the Dallas and Denver game.
How do I know that?
I was gonna say, I don't. Which year was that? 90.
No, that was 70.
Yeah, it was 78.
78.
Yeah, I have to remember.
Yeah, I shouldn't get 2 for that though. All I did was get the stadium.
Okay, I'll give you.
We got to split the points.
All right, we'll get.
I wouldn't have got it.
All right, so 3-2.
That's a good one.
What is it? What team won a Super Bowl in their home city?
Is this
wasn't that the Saints? Didn't the Saints do that?
Oh no.
Oh no, they won it the year after the.
I assume it was that Tampa Bay game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Brady and Tampa Bay, right?
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Okay. Next question is: where's the beef? Comes from a famous food chain.
That's too easy. I live in Ohio.
Where's the beef?
What is?
It's Hillshire Farms.
No.
That's Wendy's.
Oh,
So
I like Wendy's too. I haven't had it in a while.
Wendy's kind of hits.
it does.
It's been
7-2.
a while.
Hey, Wendy's, especially that was that biggie bag.
But that's no fair. Like I live in Ohio where Wendy's originated. Like there's so many Wendy's around here.
I literally forgot it was in Ohio.
Yeah.
There may be a question that may benefit on the Houston side though.
Okay.
Okay.
So
is it about strip clubs?
Right. I'm about to say I'm gonna keep my ears perked up.
You never know. Longest field goal in Super Bowl history.
Oh my.
Was it? It wasn't Adam Vinatieri. That'd be too easy. Do you need the yards or like the person who did it?
The person who did it.
In the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Oof.
It wasn't that long ago.
Let me think about. It wasn't that long ago. Can you give was it in the last 10 years?
It was actually in the last 5 years.
I'll just throw out Butker.
You got it.
No, there's no way.
Oh.
I literally just threw out a name from a chief.
Right?
That's all that mean. I literally just threw out a name from a chief. That's not fair.
I was thinking like what were some I know like there were some long field goals, but most of those were like in the regular season. Like Justin Tucker, I think, had one.
I know. Yeah, exactly. But Tucker hadn't even been there.
Because my next thing was going to say controversial kicker, and then I'd have been like, dang, y'all really thought it was Justin Tucker. So.
Oh, yeah, right?
Right.
Yeah, what? Anyway.
Yeah. That's another subject.
I have a theory about that.
Oh, man.
If we have enough time, we may have to do that.
We have to circle back to that.
We're going to circle back to that. How many chicken wings are consumed on Super Bowl Sunday? I had to bring back the chicken wings again.
I think I remember this from last year.
It sounds familiar.
I want to say it was like 20 million or 2 million or.
It can't be 2. It's got to be more than 2.
Oh, it's up there.
20 million?
No. One more hint. It's in the billions.
Oh, stop it.
2 billion. I feel like there was a 2 in it.
No, less.
1 billion.
You're almost there. Y'all give up?
I have
1.
no
5.
idea.
You were close. 1.45.
1.45. I'll take 1 point for that.
Yeah, I would have never. I would have only guessed based on you saying Sean was wrong, so I'm not taking anything for it.
That's a lot of chicken.
That's some Price is Right stuff there. I would have never got it.
I'm gonna give you the point. This is more of a lenient show. I'm not too strict on this game show. This is all about having fun. So the score right now is 9-3. Jeff's in the lead. So we got this one.
I'm still waiting for that Houston.
The famous blackout game. Who performed at the halftime show that year?
That had to be the Ravens versus 49ers Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like that was before they got like entertaining.
It was not, Sean. I'm gonna give you a clue.
Have they done it before?
No.
That was like their one and only halftime show.
I think that was their first one.
Was it a female?
Yes.
I'm gonna go Beyonce.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, my man can't miss this one.
The only other one that I can think of recent was Rihanna, and I know that wasn't.
How about Alicia Keys? We could just do beautiful women halftime shows.
Okay.
Shakira.
Which year was Alicia Keys? I can't remember.
Alicia Keys was only a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Woof.
Yeah.
Dang.
That might have even been last year.
I feel like the years are starting to blend together. Like I feel like I remember.
I just remember Beyonce breaking the Super Bowl. Beyonce
Yeah.
broke the Super Bowl. Because remember, the Ravens were blowing the doors off of the 49ers, and the lights went out for 45 minutes, and the 49ers came back to almost win it.
Almost. The Harbaugh Bowl. That was a good one.
Yeah, for some reason, that's the one I remember the most out of this last Super Bowl in the last 10 years. It was just waiting for so long. I was like,
that's weird how some of them stick with you like that. Or was you just think about Beyonce? That's what it is.
That's
some Texas. That's some Texas stuff right there.
Right. That was the Houston right there.
Yeah, I was about to say I couldn't give you they're from Houston. Then you're like, oh.
We've had a few. We've had a few people from Houston perform at halftime show. I think Whitney Houston, or maybe she just did the national anthem one year. But I know Travis Scott's done it, and the list will continue probably over time. But
I thought Travis Scott at the college championship game was really good. Did you guys see that?
That was
that was really cool.
I wish I would have been there because it's hard for me to believe that was done live. Like it was just so crazy to watch on TV.
A music video.
I was like, damn, is this
research? I just enjoyed it. Of course, I was having a good time. But...
Crazy.
Yeah, that was a good one too. Okay. So my next question is, which player has the most career touchdowns?
Tom Brady. Thrown or scored themselves?
It's not a quarterback.
It's gotta be Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice, yeah.
Okay. All right, you got that part. Okay, for 2 points, for extra 2 points, who has how many touchdowns?
How many?
Does Jerry have? He has like 5 rings. He probably got like 2.
Well, he didn't get all the rings, remember? So
Jerry, he wasn't there for.
Jerry wasn't there for the first 2 49ers Super Bowls.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say what, 8?
So I bet he had 3.
You got it. It was.
What was it?
8.
Oh, I think he might have stolen one with Oakland.
Oh yeah, he did play with.
I think he might have stole a touchdown.
You know, I'm surprised that if Jerry Rice only played in 3 Super Bowls, I'm surprised he holds that record and not Gronkowski.
I think he played in. So he would have played in 89, 90, and then 95. But the thing is, everybody forgets about that game in 90 when the 49ers destroyed the Broncos, one of the worst Super Bowls ever. But I think Rice had 3 touchdowns in that game.
Damn.
Like one of the most dominant, like everybody just forgets about that game. It's just one of those games that just kind of got lost in history when they just destroyed Denver.
Wasn't even close.
Forgot about that game. So we're down to the bonus question that's worth 4 points. So the score right now is Jeff with 11, Sean with 7. So that means if Sean,
I'm rooting for Sean on this one.
If you get both of them, I gotta go quick typing or come with some random question. But the question is, what high school did Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts attend? So each one of them is 2 points.
Jalen Hurts went to Channelview.
9.
Patrick Mahomes. Oh, Kale is gonna kill me for this.
I don't have the slightest.
Hold on. It's definitely East Texas.
Yeah.
It's not Henderson. It's not. Is it a lake something?
No, it's not a lake.
Is it Permian?
No.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's one.
All right.
Oh, wait, Dallas Carter. I know that one.
We actually went to school with someone. We actually went to school with someone like wasn't it Jace Sereno or no?
No. I'll tell you who it is. Dustin Hannon. That's who.
White House. You
got it. 4 points.
White House.
So we got tied up.
I got set up.
Yeah. And it's not even that huge. It's not as huge of a school as you would think compared to some of the other schools in Texas.
When I was thinking about it, like, dang, this is gonna be kind of too Texas based. When I thought about it, I was like, wait a minute.
No, that's all right. That's a big deal, man. I like it. I mean, Ohio, like we would be the same way if it was Ohio guys.
Yeah.
We would be
Jalen was easy.
Something like that.
when Jalen was coming out of high school, like people weren't even talking about him in football. We were just amazed at how much he could power lift. Like the dude was like a beast in high school. Just it made sense why he went to Alabama.
That was the main thing. When I seen, I was like, a quarterback lifting like he was a defensive lineman. I was like, that doesn't make any sense,
but paying off
for sure. So this question is, let me see. Just had it. Which team won 3 Super Bowls in the 1990s?
The Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
That's an easy one.
That's rude.
I should have came with us.
That's all right.
I'm gonna get another question. Let me get one right here. Okay, which brand aired the most Super Bowl commercials?
Bud Light.
Close.
Budweiser.
It was Budweiser.
Nice.
The one with the horses and the snow.
Then they also did the what's up? I believe that's Budweiser.
That's my favorite one. What's up? So Sean comes back with the comeback.
Man. Texas size comeback.
We got one.
15-13. So it was a close. This is a close game.
That was good.
Yeah, I hope the Super Bowl is like that.
Yes, I hope so. That's what I mostly need this year. I just need a good one. I really do.
Yeah, I hope it's not like the one when the Patriots and the Rams game where I fell asleep during the third quarter because of how boring it was.
I don't think it's going to be. I think both these teams are ready. Both these teams are built for this. Neither one of them is a surprise. Like I don't. They're good, man. These teams are really, really good, really talented.
What's weird is I can't remember the last Super Bowl when they played each other. Like I try to go back in that time capsule. I can't remember how I felt. Like I remember, I think it was like the same plot. Like the Eagles had a good defense. The Eagles had a good running game. The Chiefs are just
the Chiefs weren't as good that year. I mean, as far as like record wise and stuff, the Chiefs weren't as good. The Eagles, I think. I'm not going to say they might have been favored going into that because that was a year where the Eagles like just ran through everyone, and Hurts actually had a better year, you know, stat wise. Quarterback obviously didn't have Saquon and all that, but yeah, it was very similar, but you know, close game. And I mean, honestly, Jalen Hurts played the game of his life, had one fumble. Like that's it. Yeah. It was one fumble was the difference in that game.
Yeah, that was. I think statistically that was Jalen Hurts' best year of his career.
Oh yeah, he was awesome that year. Best game I ever saw him play too was the Super Bowl. Like just fantastic. If he pulls that out again, like they'll win. Like it won't even be close. Sure. Jalen Hurts plays a good game. I don't even think it's going to be close. But that being said, I don't think that's going to happen. Everybody I've saw the Chiefs play this year, their defense has had an answer for whatever quarterback they played. Like they played different based on the quarterback, you know, so you can't really judge them game to game. You have to watch them, you know, and they've had a scheme for their defense has been awesome actually. Yeah. And if
they've been on a tear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like going back to when they played us in the regular season, they played us, then they played Baltimore, and then they've just had an answer they haven't lost. Like they haven't.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know, man. These teams are good.
Yeah, it's gonna be down to the wire type of game,
and somebody's gonna come out of it a new like. I mean, obviously, even if the Chiefs win, somebody's going to be a new star. I do not think that there's a world to where it's Kelsey and we know Mahomes if they win is obviously like Mahomes and Mahomes. Like he got the chance to become Jordan in this game. I think that's the big storyline is Mahomes can be like the next Jordan if he pulls this off. But somebody's going to come out of this game, whether it's Jalen Carter, whether it's Jalen Hurts, Saquon, like somebody's going to come out a superstar out of this game. And whether it lasts or not, we don't know. Like, but something big's going to come out of this. I really think it's going to be a good one. I think it's gonna last. Like I think this Super Bowl is gonna last. Like we'll be having trivia about this in 5 years about this game.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. So I can have some more
games in New Orleans are good too.
Yeah. That there's a good history of Super Bowls in New Orleans. That is good. That's a good call.
Yeah, there's something about it. It looks good. I like watching them on TV. Like I've always liked the New Orleans games, whether it's college, college football,
Mhm.
bowl games, or whether it's Super Bowl. Like it just kind of, I don't know, it just feels like it's loud. They got a weird. It's like a weird lighting.
Yeah.
It's a little, I don't know. There's something about it. It's just really cool. Halftime will be good.
Oh.
So I'm excited. Yeah, I mean, let's think about this. You got two black quarterbacks. You got Kendrick in the building. You're in New Orleans. Like the energy has to be through the roof on this game as far as like young people being like, it kind of feels like their Super Bowl,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, it's definitely good. And you brought up a great point about New Orleans. It has like a great aesthetic to it. Like I don't care what game you're watching. It's just that stadium, that energy. It must be something in that water when teams go to play there. Is they just play at high levels.
There's always an energy to the games. Like I said, whether it's a Sugar Bowl or whether it's a Super Bowl. I'm excited for this one. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, these are the teams that you want to see in this play against each other.
I think it's the right teams. I think it's the correct, whether I'm rooting for either one of them, like to get there or not. I do believe that at the end of the season, I still think Baltimore was the best team in the AFC, but
They were.
I
agree.
mean, they just didn't get it done in that game. I think Baltimore was the best team, but that's no shade on the Chiefs. Like they didn't play Baltimore. Like they just did their thing. But
or Buffalo. Yeah, I think when you look at what the Eagles were able to do, I thought Baltimore was very similar in their approach this season. Being able to go after a top-notch running back, establishing that defense, they just couldn't get it done. But I called it. Whether Aaron, when we talked earlier in the season, we knew the Eagles were going to have a good year. And I kind of felt like Detroit, even though America and a lot of people wanted them to make it, I just didn't think that they would be able to get out of their own way to actually get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When it comes to, like you're bringing up, they both the Ravens and Eagles would have matched well because they run the ball well and they play defense. But it was just something about you already knew the Chiefs were going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, like, oh, they don't have this and that.
The Chiefs have been really cool. I know it's easy to be like, oh, this and that and everybody about the refs. But if you really watch what the Chiefs have done, again, like we talked about, like their defense, is different every week. Their offense is different every week. Like every now and then, like, Xavier Worthy looks like the best player on the planet, for 15 minutes. Like they know how to go at weaknesses. They know how to just line guys up. Like they know how to attack. But what the Eagles have, and we know this from the last 20 years of football, they have a defensive line that can just, they can get pressure with three. Like they can get pressure with three. And if you can do that, you can do anything on defense.
Yeah.
And they got a good rotation as well on that defensive line. Because they've been reeing up on that defensive line for the past 3 or 4 years.
Yep. And they don't wear down. I mean, they just keep coming and coming. This, you know what? Maybe this will be my Chris Jones game. I've been saying for a few years that, I thought he's one of the best, maybe the best player in football. Maybe this is where he just has his Reggie White game. Speaking of, Super Bowl legends, maybe he just has a game to where he just disrupts the entire Eagles offense for, 4 quarters. I have no idea. Something like that's going to happen though.
I'm glad you had that energy because I placed a bet for Chris Jones to have over a sack this game. So if he has a Reggie White game, I'm gonna be happy.
Yes, one of the great games ever played. If you again, it's hard to judge what a defensive end does, but just absolute wreaking havoc. And that was back when you knew where a quarterback was going to be. It's not as easy to do against Mahomes, I understand, but then again. Sometimes it boils down to like how you gonna root. I compare this NBA wise. This is really the Bulls Jazz of the 90s as far as like teams are equal. The Jazz probably should win, and they're like, man, but that other team got that dude. That other team just got a dude that he just looks different on the football field. Like, I don't know, man.
Saquon's gonna have to go crazy,
and he will. I believe Saquon's going off.
He can't go for under 100, and I don't see that if the Eagles want to win.
Yeah, he's gonna definitely get the rock for sure. I don't know. I see him going about 100, maybe even more. It just isn't goes down. Who's gonna have the least turnovers and everything?
Yep.
That's what it's going to be.
It really is going to be that. We sit here and analyze the game. Whoever makes the mistakes is going to lose. It's really that simple. But I will say the downside of having a team built like the Eagles is it's awesome when it's December and you're at home in Philadelphia, but when you get to the Super Bowl, the game's longer. You can't really wear out the defense like you normally could because there's so many timeouts, halftime's longer. So like your advantage to just beating a team down, now you're in a dome, it's just you just don't, it just kind of goes away. And that we see that a lot with these teams built like this. They can't really grind you out as much as they can in the regular season. I think if you're telling me this is week 7 that and these teams are at this level, I think the Eagles have an advantage, but it's just one of those things to where extra timeouts I just watched it with the national championship game. It's like playing 2 football games. It really is, as long as it takes and the gap at halftime and stuff. So then that's where coaching comes in, experience comes in, and that's where the Chiefs have the slight advantage. So it's just like all those little things go to the Chiefs. Physicality goes to the Eagles.
Yeah. And when you think of when it comes to the coordinators, like on the Eagles, they got Kellen Moore, who's basically just been a coordinator for a few years.
Yeah.
And Vic Fangio's been a coordinator for years, but then you got that Super Bowl experience with Steve Spagnuolo, and then you got Andy Reid and who they got at offensive coordinator for the Chiefs? Is it Nagy? No, not Nagy.
I don't know who it is anymore.
I don't even know who it is now. It's Andy Reid.
It don't matter.
Yeah, it's Andy Reid.
Or it's Patrick Mahomes. It's like
they just saved money. They didn't even have to hire an offensive coordinator. They still got Patrick to step in.
That is good. I think Andy Reid's still the play caller, but Spagnuolo has been the difference in this team and in the way they built the defense through the draft. And it's all going to be if the kids like Worthy and those guys, if they can just make a few plays, because they don't really out talent the Eagles even on offense, but they again putting their guys in the right position. So if you tell me Xavier Worthy has 2 touchdowns, like last year it was Jennings, you know what I mean, out of nowhere, this guy throws a touchdown, scores a touchdown, one of the great players in NFL history. That's what I see happening Sunday night.
So getting into our next segment, and that is from our moderator. It's called Hillary Ask. So my first question is, we're gonna do a funny one.
I like it.
What would be your touchdown dance if you were an NFL player?
Oh man,
there's so many good dances to choose from.
So I would go old school.
Okay.
So I would get my whoever my best friend on the team was, whoever that would be at the time, whether it was a quarterback or a defensive guy, I don't care. And I would reenact the whole Kid and Play skit from Dance Off. That's what I would do. A throwback. A throwback to me and my guys back in the 90s. That would 100% be my touchdown dance.
I like that. What you got, Sean?
I like the ones. I'm not gonna lie. I know a lot of players have gotten in trouble for this over the years, but I miss the props. Like I miss the cell phones, the pins, the gadgets. Yeah. I say like you do something creative each time, and like whether it's a jacket, the Hall of Fame jacket, like you just do something that adds fun. I miss those moments, like you were waiting for certain players to score because you knew they were gonna go crazy with it.
Who was the big ones? You had Ocho Cinco, of course. You had
Joe Horn.
Joe Horn, the cell phone. There was a few guys. I can't. Did Steve Smith do crazy stuff or not? I can't. Did that crazy bastard do crazy stuff?
I feel like he probably did.
Okay. Yeah. You want to talk about it under? I won't even say under. He's not underrated player. He's rated properly. But you want to talk about an under probably discussed player in NFL history, Steve Smith. Just an absolute maniac for 4 quarters every game he played.
If he could have switched to a team like the Colts or even the Bengals during that time when they had those years, I feel like his career would have been a lot different.
And a monster, just one of the true great players. I might change my next answer based on that.
Because when you think of Steve Smith, the way he played, you thought he was a bigger receiver, but he was only like 5'9" or 5'8".
Unreal. Just so distracting. And he's a player too that as good as he was then would be better now.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean? Now you're playing against, a little less contact and a little more, especially a little more zone coverage. Like you can't, like you got to stop. You know what? Honestly, probably a great comparison is Jamar Chase. Like the way
Yeah.
he plays as far as route runner.
He ran all the routes great.
Yep. And Chase's advantage is like he's always going full speed. And that was Steve Smith. Like he was just always going full speed, made tough catches. And then as soon as he caught the ball, was upfield. So like that's probably a good comparison as far as size and strength between those two.
And one of the pound for pound best blocking wide receivers. I think he loved, him, Hines Ward. There were some receivers throughout the history that they did not mind blocking assignments.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's a good comparison.
Well, Smith had some good running games, man. In Carolina, they had Stewart and I can't remember the other guy's name, but they had a couple 1,000-yard runners, like I think in 1 year while he was there.
Yeah, y'all remember Tate Covert?
Yeah. He wasn't on the team with McCaffrey though, or did he stick around that long? No,
he didn't make. He was actually wound up in Baltimore with probably Flacco, but it was really good. It was really good for Baltimore.
I'm trying to think who that other running back is on that team. I know they had Deshaun Foster, but that was during the Jake Delhomme days.
Yeah.
Yep. I cannot remember, but they were really good together.
Davis. I remember that name, Davis, for sure.
Stephen Davis.
Oh, yeah. The heck, they had him too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he was tough.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Running backs, we talk about them like they had like 2 years.
Yeah.
And then just gone. It's weird. Running backs are weird, man. Like they just don't go down in history like they used to. But for one season, they were awesome. Thomas
crazy
Davis, is that it?
You heard a lot of people talking about Derrick Henry being like the last great running back, and then here comes Saquon with this year, and I'm like, I don't think they're done. I think running backs still have.
Yes, I think there can always be one or two. I've changed my mind on that a little bit. I think and it's really just because of the impact and the injuries and all that. It's just the longevity is just impossible. But on any given day, there's a lot of great running backs, but those two really set themselves apart this year. What Henry did with Baltimore, like again, like you said, I wish they would have had a chance to see what would have happened, but it is what it is. But Saquon's out here backing everything up that he said over the years. I mean, there's no slight to that guy whatsoever. That dude ought to have 40 touchdowns if it wasn't for running Hurts at the goal line.
That's true. Those two running backs are an anomaly because not running backs like them don't come every day.
Number 3, like once you get to number 3, like anybody. Like Kyron Williams, guys like that. There's a bunch of them. I mean, look at the Super Bowl on the other side of Barkley, Kareem Hunt, Pacheco. Like that's your Super Bowl, running backs from the Chiefs. Like it's the drop off is insane.
Yeah, that's like apples and oranges between Pacheco and
it really is.
And Saquon, because you would think Saquon is at the tail end of his career. It's like no, he's in his prime now. Like
it has been impressive what he's done. Like absolutely at his age. I know it sounds crazy. He's not that old, but late 20s to play. Just absolutely unstoppable. All season. It's incredible. Honestly, what he's done.
Yeah. Benefits from having an upgrade on the offensive line too. So I know that's a big help. So the next question she asked. This was a little longer. If you had a flag football team with NBA players, you get one quarterback, 3 wide receivers, and a tight end. Who do y'all have on y'all's NBA flag football team?
Is this like all time or is just like current players?
It could be current players.
Current players.
I actually joined this a little bit, so it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I went all current.
Okay.
So I took my quarterback. I took Steph, just because what really set me over. I was like, he always knows exactly. It's his touch. Like he knows exactly the moment. He doesn't get flustered. He knows when to, he's going to know when to throw the balloon ball. He's going to know when to throw a dart. He's evasive. You know what I mean? Just the footwork and everything. And there's just his eyes on the court. He's one of the true great passing point guards of all time too. So like, I just think at quarterback, like he's got decent size, like 6'2". So I just think Steph's a born quarterback. Wide receiver. I took Tatum, length, athleticism, body control, all these things, presence. That was an easy one. I took Jimmy Butler just because, not only is he, a great athlete, but he's just kind of nuts. And I just think that's a guy that, and he's really good lateral, like, you know what I mean? So I just think he's a guy. And then I just went straight crazy athleticism and will to win. I went with Ja Morant as my third wide receiver. I'm like, there's you put him on an NFL field now. I don't see how anybody covers, Morant on the field. And then tight end, I had to go high school. You want to talk about Ohio high school football, one of the top rated players in the country, as a sophomore, and he quit because of basketball. I went with LeBron James as my tight end. Like, there's a world to where he goes to Ohio State and is Jeremiah Smith. He chose basketball, and obviously it worked out. But I had to go with my man LeBron, my Ohio guy.
That's a good team. You got some height on that team too.
Oh yeah, I mean it's flag football too. You got to remember that.
Man, that's true.
Right, you don't have to worry about anyone getting injured.
That's true.
Yep.
I went with for my quarterback. We were just talking about him earlier on the podcast, Luka. I think young. Okay. I think a lot of different abilities. He can move, he can throw, he can pass. I think he would excel as a quarterback. I agree. Tight end. I think it would be criminal to choose anyone other than LeBron James. He's just like the perfect build for an NFL tight end right now. At receiver, I was like you. I had Ja Morant for one of my receivers. I also had Anthony Edwards. I think he's an athletic freak. I think he can just do whatever he wants. And I think for the last one, I also had Jason Tatum. He's just somebody who he's a champion. Like he's a beast. Until further notice, I truly think that he is one of, if not the second best player in the league behind the Joker. He's so good. He can do everything.
Yeah. I was watching that game the other night. So my wife's a Cavs fan. So I'm like, oh, Celtics Cavs are on tonight. And they came out on the floor, and like a couple minutes in, I looked at Tatum and I was like, oh, it's one of those nights. Like your Cavs are done. Like they're taking it serious tonight. Like nobody's beating them if he's taking it serious. And it was a mismatch. That's probably what made me put him on
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even did a team too. And I already got so I always got tight end as LeBron James.
That's awesome.
We're gonna get that out of the way.
Who's the second best tight end? We got to pick another tight end.
Oh, that's a good question.
Honestly, based on build, I would go Anthony Davis.
I was thinking maybe Davis.
Yeah. He should be good at tight end. So when it comes to my quarterback, I went with Jalen Suggs. He was a former Minnesota 4-star quarterback. So
I did not know that.
No, I remember that. I remember seeing it on Snapchat all the times, and he could throw. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a former quarterback to be my QB. And then I did
launch it.
Yeah. So and then my big X receiver is Anthony Edwards, freaky athletic, plays physical. I gotta go with Anthony Edwards on there. And for my Z receiver, I got Donovan Spider Mitchell, who's another freak athlete with a 6'10" wingspan. So when that ball's coming, he's gonna catch it, he's gonna bring it down, and he's got that speed as well. And I did go in the slot. I got Ja Morant. I brought some great points about that one.
So and I think Ja could go to the NFL right now. There's no way you can convince me he couldn't go to the NFL.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about NBA players is Ja
he's like 15 more pounds. Yeah, that's it.
But Ja goes to the NFL, and he's one of the bigger receivers in the NFL. Like he's probably as big as Justin Jefferson, right?
Very true.
That's what's crazy. NBA players are giants. Like they're giants.
Yeah, especially with the pads on, like they're so awkward out there. Like they're not used to like moving like that.
That would be weird.
Like,
yeah.
It'd be fun to watch though. But that is our flag football teams and everything. I'm gonna make a post about this. So it'd be interesting to see what people's reactions to our flag football offense team. I don't want to go too deep into it about who would be on your defense, but maybe we'll do that next year or something like that. So what is our next question? Oh, if you could invite 3 former or current NFL players to a Super Bowl party, who would they be?
So I went. Sorry.
They didn't have to win. They just had to play, right? Or did they had to win the Super Bowl?
Oh, they just as long as they play.
Be a former player, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I went with like I want to pick people's brain while I'm watching the game. At first I thought like, man, who do I want to hang with and party with and all that. And I'm like, no, I want to sit and talk football for 3 hours. So I took Marshall Faulk, who I still consider maybe the best player in NFL history, across the board as far as brains and skill and all that. I'm like, I want to watch a game with him and see him pick apart the defense and tell me what he sees. And he seems like a pretty good guy too. And I took Lamar Jackson just because I think he's one of the most interesting people on the planet. And I truly think he's one of the smartest NFL players in the game right now. And I would just love to and also I want to ask him questions like, man, this ought to be you. Like, what are you going to do next year? Like, I'm thinking in the present. And then I took my man, Dan Marino, and I just want to have a throwback of being like, man, you know what I mean? I was ride or die with you for all those years. It didn't happen, but it didn't ruin your life and all that. And so I would just love to sit and, chat about the old days of Dan Marino. So I got a pretty decent mix of, old, young, and, in between. And I just want to pick their brains about football for 3 hours. And then what happens after that, who knows?
I like how yours went an intelligent conversation. When I get into mine, it ain't nothing but a bunch of goofballs. But who do you guys?
It's all good.
First, I would love to have my boy Andre Johnson, number 80, in the room just to hear what he would say about playing or having the opportunity to play in the Super Bowl, what he sees. And I don't know, I just think he's a great player that over time he will get more recognition. It's just the Houston Texans are still where they're at. Second, I would love Dion to be there prime time. I think that would be awesome to have him, talk about his heyday and what he sees and how these guys aren't as good as he.
You just want to hear those Dallas stories. You want to hear his Dallas stories. I'm with you.
They needed me. They had to get me from San Fran. I just want to hear him gloat. And then last but not least, Peyton Manning. Peyton, he's just one of the GOATs. Like you said, if we're going to sit and talk football for 3.5, 4 hours, I want to talk with some intelligent people. Guys who are entertaining. I think that would be a good group.
And that's part of the reason I chose Faulk, because Manning's always said that he wouldn't be the player he is without Marshall Faulk for those couple years.
I love y'all's, and I had to change one of mine, but I'm gonna get out the goofballs out the way. I'm gonna have Jason Kelsey there. He's gonna bring the party and everything. And he brings a little bit of intelligent conversation.
Another Ohio guy. I can't be mad at you.
Ohio's getting and Texas getting love for the show on accident.
It's football.
Yeah,
it's the football. It's the football episode.
Facts. And my next one is he's been doing interviews, and you can't keep a straight face when he says anything. And that's Jameis Winston. He just seems like a fun guy to hang out with and everything. So I had to get Jameis Winston. I don't care if he's even trying to be remotely serious. You just start laughing because he's always staring happy and with his eyes bucked out. He's just
that's a good point. I don't think he'd bring the party down.
No. And then I'm actually gonna go a cowboy legend as Emmitt Smith, who I like to pick his brain about his time about it in Dallas. And then the other thing he likes to talk about is about being an entrepreneur and everything. I like to know a little bit about his business ventures and everything. So I want to have the funny ones, but I also have people that bring that conversation as well. So I think those three guys I like to have in my Super Bowl party.
Oh, absolutely. That's not a bad mix. Emmett's an interesting guy because he really they threw him to the wolves when they brought him on ESPN Monday Night Football way too early. Yeah. He wasn't ready for it. He was terrible at it, but he didn't get any grooming. You know what I mean? He got dropped. He basically got dropped off a plane into that, and then that kind of ended his career. That could have been. So we didn't get to hear as much from him through the years as we might have, because back then, you couldn't just hit hot points and be on a show for 5 minutes and all that. He was trying to help carry a halftime show or whatever, and it didn't work. So we never know what we could have heard from, a guy like Emmitt Smith in today's age, where he had a podcast, for lack of a better term. So that's an interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. You don't think of, how commentating is a lot different than it is now. Yeah. Everybody's about hot takes now. And people are just screaming in the top of their lungs, even though it doesn't make any sense. But as long as I sound confident,
Yep.
it's gonna get
Yeah,
ratings.
Emmett would have been much better now. And I don't think to be honest, I don't know if he ever really wanted that career. I mean, he's done, obviously, like you said, he's done great. I don't, but it was sort of a blemish on his post career, but I mean, it's went away now, no big deal. But a lot of those guys I would like to hear more. Some guys I'd like to hear less from. Some guys I'd like to hear more from. We'll never know.
Yeah, I hope one day we get like a biopic or a series about the '90s Cowboys.
Oh boy,
that I don't know if we're gonna go into that
I can't-
detail about the White House, but
yeah, none of us brought Mike on. Like, how will we not invite him to the party?
I was thinking about Michael Irvin, Mr. Cowboy, for sure. That'd bring a lot of energy with Winston.
I'm about to say that's some intensity you're bringing over to the house.
I might pass out by the end of the halftime. Just all that energy and everything. Them fiery and like, oh.
And there's a lot of guys I'd like to have conversations with, like guys that like were quiet guys, but like I really respected. Like I kept thinking like Darryl Green. Like I just want to. Nobody really talked to Darryl Green, but like he's one of the great professional, Hall of Famers of all time. Doug Williams, of course. I would love to, talk to Doug Williams. But I'm thinking, but then you did say have a party. I'm like, oh no, we're sitting around having a party. We don't get too deep, like so.
All right, then that guy's just on the couch being too quiet.
Yeah, exactly. So,
it's kind of like you're trying to think of similar energy and stuff, because if you have somebody that's super introverted, you're just like, dang,
yeah, and that's not against them, but like it's not. Yeah, you're not going to get as much as you could, but I think Falk would be my guy. Like, I think that, or Nick Saban. I mean, he's not a former player, but like I want like the more I see Saban talk outside of coaching, I just like want to sit and talk to that dude for 3 hours about just stuff. Like I've really grown to like that guy in the last 7 months.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. And when you think of Saban, you're not thinking about bringing him to the party, but having a conversation with him, because you seen him on the sidelines with Pat McAfee. They were two polar opposite energies and stuff. So I definitely could see why you would go with more for the guys that are like extroverted.
Yeah, exactly.
So I appreciate you having you on. We definitely got to do another show.
Yeah.
But before I let y'all go, who y'all got winning the Super Bowl and the score?
I'll let Sean go first.
I think the Eagles are going to win this game. I have the Eagles winning 28-27. I think it's going to come down to who has it last. I think, fortunately for the Eagles, they're going to have the ball last. They're going to make away with it. And I think they're just going to put all their eggs in one basket, whether it's the tush push. They're just going to grind it. They're going to go all for it. And I think they're going to get it.
I like that.
I went kind of the opposite. I think it's going to come down to the end. I think it might be who's got the ball last, but I went the opposite way. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game because we talked about the extra time and it being in New Orleans. So I went 35-34 Chiefs, but only because I think the last score is going to be a touchdown. That's the only difference I had, But again, it's 100% going to come down to turnovers. 1,000% going to come down to turnovers.
I agree with you.
You said 35-34?
I got 35-30.
Oh, 35-30.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think the last play, or like the game, is going to be decided with like seconds to go. Someone just scored extra point, 2-point conversion pending.
Yep.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah.
So we got the Chiefs and the Eagles, and I got the score 31-27. I think it's going to go down to the team who has the least turnovers and everything, and who runs the ball efficiently. And the receiving game has got to be a factor. Well, in the defense, who has the best strategy for the other team? And I got the Chiefs winning this game 31-27.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if it went down that way.
I wouldn't be surprised with any outcome other than a blowout. A blowout would surprise me either way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be that type of game because these teams are too stacked, and they just have that order. Like, okay, we're gonna load up the score and see who's gonna win at the final second of the game.
Right. I don't think either one of them will tighten up. Obviously, the Chiefs aren't going to at this point. I mean, there's very seldom a time to where you can lose a Super Bowl and you're like, it's no big deal. This is one of the rare times to where you're like, you know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. But the Eagles are ready for it. I don't think they're going to tense up. So when you don't have teams tense up, then they're just going to play a game, and it's going to be good.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit worried for the Chiefs. I honestly believe that it's gonna be a close game, but based on what I've seen from the playoffs so far, everyone wants to talk about the referees, and I know the Chiefs have the ability to play with anybody, but they haven't faced a team yet who's been able to just explode on them the way Philadelphia showed. If Philadelphia can do what they did in the NFC Championship game, I do think the Chiefs are in trouble, because then they will be forced to throw, and I do think the Eagles will have a better chance. I think that's like the best case scenario for Philly. But yeah, I think Andy Reid he'll have those guys ready. Coach Spags, they'll be ready.
I actually found one good stat about both Nick Sirianni and Andy Reid. So Andy, with a week of prepare, Nick Sirianni is 5-1, and Big Red is 30-7. So that's a factor. They both have winning records, but one has more experience.
But y'all know as well as I do, this game could be decided on the first drive by an offensive lineman missing a block. And like that's the truth about football. That just the silliest mistake you can be trying to chase that all game. So
there's not been a Super Bowl where you don't see like this crazy turnover and you're like, dang, why in this game is when that happens. And
another thing to look at in this game, Jalen Hurts winning this game is a big deal. From where he started, and the whole story will be great, and then if he transforms himself from transferring to Oklahoma into a Super Bowl winning quarterback, like that's a huge story. So that'll be.
Do you think it's a big enough story to propel him to undoubtedly the second best quarterback in the NFL? I think so. If he wins this Super Bowl, I think he's without a doubt the second best behind Patrick Mahomes right now.
Really? I don't think so, because I still think that Jackson and Allen are better, but it propels the conversation. I get, you know what though? Here, I'll be fair by this. It depends on how he wins it. If he throws for under 200 yards and Saquon goes off, then no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But if he plays another great Super Bowl, and if he has 2 Super Bowls and he's got whatever over 700 yards and all these touchdowns and everything, then you have to start having a conversation about, is he one of the great big game players of all time? So yeah. I mean, the direction of his career definitely hinges on this game.
Yeah, you give
huge.
And if
he's been in 2 Super Bowls already. That's crazy.
Yeah,
and he's only like a year older than Jaden Daniels. Like I saw that stat and I almost fell out of my chair. I was like, I forgot how old Jaden Daniels was, or I guess how young.
Yeah, Hurts is just a kid. I mean, it's been amazing what he's done. And again, I've always said, work to get to where he is. Like transformed himself into one type of quarterback at Oklahoma into what he's become now. It's awesome. So I'm rooting for him to have a good game regardless. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I even forgot about that stat about Jaden Daniels, an older prospect, and that was like one of his knocks in him being a skinnier guy. But yeah, when you think of Jalen Hurts, you think he's been in the league for a long time. He's only been here for like 4 or 5 years, and he's already been to
his fourth. It's only his 3rd year starting, or 4th. Maybe it's his 4th.
Yeah, it's one.
No, because his first year was a Super Bowl. Yeah, it's only his 3rd starting year, if I remember correct.
Mm-hmm. In that short amount of time. But
yeah,
but I appreciate y'all for being on the show. I keep saying we're gonna have a show. We're gonna do a trivia show or something. We can't just do one show a year. But I appreciate y'all for being
before.
Just bring if nothing else, bring Sean on. Let's do something. Let's do something NBA before the playoffs.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely do that. We'll definitely figure something out with that. But before I let y'all go, where can they find y'all's podcast or anything y'all got going on?
You can find Red Dot Radio on YouTube. We still using Spotify, Apple Podcasts, those type of things, but mainly on YouTube. Check us out at Red Dot Radio Podcast. We also do some clips on TikTok, Instagram, in case you don't want to watch the full episode. But don't forget to give us a subscribe and catch all the latest videos.
Yeah, obviously you can follow me at jhunt, 006 on Twitter. Follow Jeff Needs Sports. I do a lot of other stuff with a lot of other companies. So best thing to do is find me, on Twitter or Facebook or something and chase me around there. I've done a ton of work this year, but it's spread out, all over the game. I love doing it that way, but it is definitely hard to track me down. So the best thing to do is just follow me personally, and then I'll keep you in the loop. Formerly of the Off the Ball Network. Apparently, it's been a great run. Me and AB is going to be back. We're going to do the playoff thing, and then we're definitely going to do Hard Knocks again.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to working with you guys in the future, and it's been a blast, man. Thanks for having me on to do this.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all for being on this show. Definitely got to have them back on. They always bring that great energy and knowledge when it comes to football and also basketball as well, and some other and just fun random facts we bringing to the show as well. But this has been Tacos and Touchdown Live. We'll see y'all, and happy Super Bowl. Hopefully it's a great game. Peace.